there's this lighthouse. So far out on the edge of a little town, about 200 miles from where I live. It almost felt forgotten when I visited it. A tall, weather-worn tower standing alone, surrounded by cliffs and crashing waves. People there don't talk about it much, but if you ask around, especially the older folks, they'll look at you like you already know too much. I wasn't there for work. I just needed a break from the city, so I booked a little rental cottage near the cliffs. The lighthouse was maybe a mile out, standing alone, weathered by time. Such a beautiful coastal town, especially with the lighthouse standing frozen there. Quiet and beautiful, really. The first night, I noticed something strange. Not strange in a scary way, just off. I was sitting on the porch having a cup of coffee when I saw the lighthouse beacon. It swept over the ocean. Slowly, steadily. And I remember thinking, wait, is that place still in use? I vividly recalled reading somewhere that it had been decommissioned and was just a relic. The next morning, I saw the owner of the cottage and decided to ask him about the lighthouse. He was friendly, older, the kind who seemed like he'd seen a lot but didn't speak much. Until I mentioned the lighthouse. His face changed. He got quiet for a second, then leaned in and said, "It's best to admire it from a distance." That caught my attention. He went on to tell me about the old keeper, Harold Griggs, how he stayed on long after most had retired, and how things turned strange after his wife passed. He spoke of how the light would turn on during clear nights with no storm in sight after Harold mysteriously disappeared, even though he had been working at the lighthouse for years. To this day, nobody knows what happened to Harold. Rumor has it that he got depressed after his wife died and became obsessed with the light. Harold, who was a quiet man, occasionally told a few close people that he used the light to try and find his wife. What a broken heart Harold must have had. After Harold disappeared, locals said they saw a figure pacing the lantern room, even though the place had been locked up for years. I don't know, something in his voice, the way he said it, like he wasn't just telling an old story, but reliving it. So yeah, being a writer, I guess my curiosity got the better of me that afternoon. I've always been drawn to stories like this, and to be honest, I've never actually experienced anything ghostly myself. That made it even more tempting to go check it out. I got my camera, my bottled water, and headed down to the lighthouse. I didn't expect to stay there long, but the place had a pull. I ended up wandering the cliffs and circling the tower until sunset. As evening crept in, the temperature dropped about 10 degrees. The wind picked up, but the air felt still, like the lighthouse was holding its breath. By this time, it was around 7 p.m., and the sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow across the horizon. The sky looked like a painting. The cold wind started to pick up, biting at my jacket, so I decided it was time to head back to the car. As I walked, I glanced over at the lighthouse, struck by how massive it looked up close. Towering, almost imposing. Then I saw something. I stopped in my tracks. A faint flicker came from the tower just for a second. Then darkness again. I squinted, brushing it off as maybe the wind or the angle of the light playing tricks on my eyes, but then it happened again. The beam flashed briefly, then vanished. My heart kicked up a notch and a chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the wind. Now I'm seriously getting spooked. And I'm not going to wait around to see if it would happen again. I turned and hurried up the path, my boots crunching over gravel, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. The wind felt colder now, sharper, like it was chasing me. By the time I got to my car, my hands were shaking. I jumped in, slammed the door shut, jammed the key into the ignition. Click. Nothing. I froze. Tried again. Click. Come on, I muttered, eyes darting toward the lighthouse. It was still dark, but I couldn't shake the feeling something was watching me. One more try. Oh, thank you, Lord. I didn't think. I didn't look. I slammed it into reverse, tires skidding over the gravel. As I pulled away, I caught one last glimpse in the rearview mirror. There was someone. No, something, I swear. I don't know if it was real. I don't want to know. All I know is I wasn't about to fuck around and find out. I didn't care to see what or who. My only goal at that point was simple. Get the hell out of there. I drove straight back to the cottage without stopping. Not once did I look back. I mean, I was so scared, I wanted to check if I somehow had somebody sitting in the back seat. Full paranoid, I guess. My hands were shaking on the wheel, and every little sound in the car made me jump. I pulled up to the cottage. Didn't even turn off the engine. I just ran in, grabbed my bag, and ran back out. I hurried to the office, tried to check out properly, but no one was there, and I sure wasn't about to hang around. I left the key on the counter and hit the road. I didn't breathe easy until I was halfway home. I needed to get away from here. The whole drive back home, I kept glancing at my mirrors. It wasn't until I turned on the radio, hoping the noise would calm my nerves, that I finally started to settle down a bit. I don't know what I saw at the lighthouse. I don't know if I ever want to really know. All I know is I'm never going back to that town again. Ever since then, I've gotten a lot picky about where I choose to travel.